Welcome to the Home Builder Digital Marketing Podcast. Over 90% of today's home buyers start their buyer journey online. Here we talk with not only industry experts, but also your fellow home builder marketers to learn how you can succeed in our incredibly competitive digital world. And now, here are your hosts, Greg Bray and Kevin Weitzel.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Home Builder Digital Marketing Podcast. I'm Greg Bray with Blue Tangerine.
And I'm Kevin Weitzel with Outhouse.
And we are excited to have joining us today, Qadra Evans. Qadra is the Director of Industry Relations and Sales for Zillow New Construction. Welcome, Qadra. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Qadra, for those who haven't had a chance to meet you yet, please give us that quick kind of overview and introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, you got the title. That's a long one, so we'll save you the space. I direct industry relations and sales, and industry relations is kind of the convoluted piece of that. People are like, what does that mean? Basically, I'm kind of the exterior or external face of Zillow New Construction. So you'll see me at conferences, lots of them. I do a lot of speaking on stage. We like to bring Zillow data and insights to the masses. And so that's pretty much what I'm charged with. We work a lot with partnerships and building those relationships with other industry partners.
I'd like to see your business card to see how all that stuff fits on there, because that'd be insane. I don't think there's a small enough font to make that happen. But anyway, I digress. Please tell us something interesting about yourself that has nothing to do with work or the home building industry, so our listeners can learn a little bit more about you.
So I am a major traveler and I'm an animal lover. So my favorite trips are those where I get to go see wildlife around the world. Africa is my favorite spot. I've been to Africa 5-6 times, and we like to go like every other year so that I can get my animal fix. I'm kind of a travel junkie and like to see as many places as I possibly can. Try never to go to the same place twice.
I spent 1.5 years in Africa, and I can promise you that Eastern Africa is nothing but camels. If you go to like Ethiopia, Djibouti, Somalia, and you think you're going to see African animals, nope, you're going to see a mess load of camels and some donkeys. That's about it.
You got to pick your spots, Kevin.
You do. You got to pick it right.
I think Kevin has told us before, he did not get to pick his spots. He was voluntold where to go.
The Marine Corps just definitely tells you where you're going to go, and they were never vacation spots. Always the armpits of the earth.
Well, Qadra, I think Zillow is a household name now, but tell us a little bit more about the new construction group and the services you're providing for builders and the kinds of things you offer.
Yeah, I think Zillow New Construction has kind of flown under the radar. We're about a 9-year-old business. And what it kind of stemmed from is builders' biggest competition is not other builders, it's resale. And so what better way to capture the eyeballs of those resale buyers than to display your specs and your plans and your communities alongside those? The MLS is one way that you can get your new construction listings to the masses, but it's not the best way because the MLS wasn't really built for new construction. So what Zillow allows you to do is build out your community pages, showcase your specs, your coming soons, your available plans that you build, and sometimes even your lots if you've got some vacant lots. And so we allow you to kind of display all the goodness of new construction for those buyers. And it displays alongside resale. So you just get that enhanced marketing ability.
I think that every builder should be considering how they can take advantage of that because you guys have so many eyeballs on the website. And like you said, recognizing that resale is the key competitor when you look at the total number of sales in the market and how many are resale versus new construction, or as we like to say, used homes, right? We can say that here. Right? But today, we don't want to dig in too deep into that side. What we're really after is more insights on that 2024 Consumer Housing Trends Report that you guys put together. Now, you've been doing this for several years. Before we dive into this year's report, tell us a little bit about why this report is important to you guys, what kind of started it, and some of the goals that you had putting it together.
So really, we serve all sorts of different masters here at Zillow. We've got agents, we've got builders, but we also serve consumers. And that's our number one concern. That's why we do everything at Zillow is we have a core value that says consumers are our North Star. So everything we build is for consumers. So what better way to deliver what consumers want than to learn about what they want? So the survey was kind of born out of that. And then what we use it for is to educate builders and agents and lenders and all of these industry players that are sharing these consumers with us. How do we level them up so that we're all giving consumers the best experience that they possibly can? So the report was kind of born out of that. It started as this one huge report of buyers, sellers, and renters, and we still have that. And then we survey about 9,500, maybe 10,000 buyers, sellers, renters, just to learn their habits, what they want when they're shopping, what they're looking for once they get to a sales center or to talk to an agent, all of those kind of goodies. And then what we learned through doing this survey for many, many years is that new construction buyers are different. And so about 4 years ago, we split off new construction from the big report of buyers, sellers, and renters, and we created our own new construction mini book. And it tracks 2,500 buyers of new construction within the past 2 years. And we are learning about how they shop, what they're looking for, what draws them to builders, what draws them to listings online. And then we can help guide builders to give these buyers of new construction what they want.
All right. So you said new construction buyers are different. Sometimes people use different as a polite way to say strange, and sometimes it's a good thing. Different can be good, right? There's some tagline out there about that. So when you say different, what do you mean? Why are new construction buyers different?
They're wanting different things, and they have to shop differently because new construction isn't something that they can always see, touch, feel, go into. So they're shopping differently, and they want different things when they're buying a new construction home. Maybe they're looking for something they can completely customize. They want to put their own stamp on this home. There's some reason that they're drawn construction over a used home. And so that's what we wanted to learn through doing these surveys is what do they want and how do we get them what they want?
All right. Now, one of my favorite pieces of data, Kevin, I don't know if you saw this in there, is that the number one, no, it's not, I'm just kidding. It's not the number one, but pets are like driving home buyer purchase decisions. We used to always talk about which spouse is got more influence. And now it's like the pet dog. It's got all this influence on the purchase decision. Did you see that data? I was fascinated by that. Tell us a little more about the pets, Qadra, because that jumped out at me as something really interesting.
Yeah, as an animal lover, I really loved that we dug into this so much this year. but pets are just, they're family members. If you have pets, you understand I've got 3 and they are children to me. And so I do make decisions around, is there room for the dog to run around? Is the fence high enough that he's not going to escape by jumping over the fence? Are there dog-friendly community features? Is there a dog park? Is there a dog run? Does the garage have a dog washing station? That could be cool. Pets are really starting to drive decisions just as much as kids do. So I think it's a really fun thing for us to start tracking.
And how many communities do you know across the country that consider the dogs, but how many of them consider fish? Do you have any of them that have like fish walking stations or, make sure that the electricity will guarantee that there'll be backups for the aquariums?
I know, darn it, fish is just not something that we track. We know the dogs are the number 1 pet, cats are second, and then the numbers fall off after that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kevin has a fish.
I have several. I've got like 5 aquariums now. It's nuts.
I never thought about backup generators for aquarium filters, though. I mean, that's probably a good feature. Yeah, there we go. Well, thank you for sharing the pet data. Again, I think that's kind of interesting and fun. Kids versus pets, which one's more important? That's a whole nother survey, right?
Actually, let me expand on that just a hair. How often do you think that buyers will make a decision based off of not wanting to own a home after a pet owner? Kind of like not wanting to own a car after a cigarette smoker. Maybe you don't want that pet dander in the carpet, or you don't want any weird remnant hairs just still stuck in the house of some sort. Does that ever come into play?
I don't know. We're talking about new construction, so that's probably not a big concern.
Well, that's true. That's what I was talking about in comparison to used.
Maybe that's part of the 42% of people that only want new construction.
That's a great segue, Qadra, because there is this interesting difference that you guys find in buyers between the ones that only want new. They're not even looking at anything but new. And then there's the ones that started out probably kind of just shopping and didn't really think about new. And now they start considering it and whether they stay with new or they go back to resale. Tell us a little bit more about some of the insights about those different groups.
Yeah, so we know 42% of buyers, new construction only. That's fine. We can kind of cater to them, but that's the low-hanging fruit, right? Those are the buyers that we know are going to buy new construction. So we just have to be building something that appeals to them. There's 58% of buyers that they're probably just shopping, and think of the last few years, this housing market has been pretty wacky and there's not a lot to choose from. And so these buyers are looking for something that they can buy. And new construction is increasingly looking like a fabulous deal because There's things like rate buy downs that builders can offer. Actually, Zillow just put out a new study that in many markets, new construction has become actually less expensive per square foot than resale in specific markets. So new construction, where it used to be this thing where you might be paying a 20% premium on a new construction home over a used home, those margins have started to shrink, and new construction is really a viable option, especially when you think of how much easier it is to work with builders, all the advantages that they have over used homes, just given our recent market and all the noise that we're facing there.
When you talk to builders about some of these stats and differences, do you feel like builders really are doing the best they can to teach people the advantages of new versus used? Or they just kind of assume that they're here because they're here and they must know that?
As much as I want to give builders the benefit of the doubt, because I think they sure try to get this across to buyers, I think we can all do a better job of educating buyers on the advantages of new construction. If you think about all the advantages that builders offer as far as promotions or incentives, I don't think we do a great job of educating buyers on what that actually means for them either. If you're talking about rate buy downs, a lot of buyers don't have any idea what that means. So if you can show them what that does for their bottom line, then the dots start connecting and they're like, dang, this really is a good option for me.
I mean, just like Kevin was talking about, nobody else's pet stuff is in this house because it's new. It's not just about rate buy down. It's about the latest energy efficiency stuff. It's about materials. It's about warranties. It's about the styles that are new as opposed to that thing that was in the 70s that nobody wants to admit, whatever happens.
There's also simple things like just air breathability, air quality. With net zero homes and air filtration systems of modern new builds, it's far superior to like what I have in my 1980 townhouse.
That's right. And I think it's really important to just learn what that one buyer, what makes them tick. Maybe they're very concerned about the air quality in their home, but maybe somebody else is very concerned about energy efficiency, or I want this smart home technology. So it's really about learning what that specific buyer is looking for and making sure you're appealing to them.
Hey everybody, this is Greg from Blue Tangerine, and I just wanted to personally invite you to join Kevin and me at the upcoming Home Builder Digital Marketing Summit. It's going to be October 23rd and 24th in Raleigh, North Carolina. You do not want to miss this. We're going to have marketing education. We're going to have online sales counselor education. We're going to have networking, roundtable discussions, and of course, a whole lot of fun. So make sure you get registered today and join us. You can get all the details at buildermarketingsummit.com. Can't wait to see you there. And I just want to say to our listeners that we've been talking about a lot of statistics because it's in this report. We will tell you how to get the report. Sometimes it's hard to hear numbers and remember them when we're just talking about them and throwing them around. We'll give you a link in the show notes and make sure we tell you before we're done where to go get the report if you haven't seen it yet. So Qadra, you were talking about new home buyers shopping differently. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the product doesn't always exist yet in a physical form that they can go look at. What are some of the insights that you guys asked about and learned about what it is they find helpful in that shopping process?
I think of all the time that you could waste getting in your car, driving to a new home community, and then you learn that that floor plan just isn't even going to work for what you need. Think about all the time wasted doing that. And so what buyers are telling us is help us understand what the house is going to look like before we take those steps, before we waste our time. And we'll waste a lot less time. We're going to be a lot happier of a customer at the end, right? So 3D tours are something that we've just seen. It kind of peaked during COVID, the demand and the desire to have those 3D tours on listings. And that demand hasn't gone anywhere. It's just increased from there. You want to be able to take a virtual step inside this home, walk around. Maybe you can click through the still photos in each room to get a better sense of what it's going to look like. So 3D tours are something that they're demanding. Our data shows that they're getting 68% more views, 36% more saves when there is a 3D tour attached on a Zillow listing. So the efforts are not in vain. Buyers want it. They're clicking through to see it, and it hasn't gone anywhere as far as trends that we're seeing. And the other big one that I happen to think is some of the coolest technology that really came, it was fast-tracked during COVID, is interactive floor plans. So you can actually plug yourself into a floor plan, walk around that house and get a sense for what that house is going to feel like, whether it's built or not. And so those are things that we've seen just skyrocket in demand since the pandemic. By the way, we reference the pandemic a lot because it changed a lot of things. That's also when we broke apart this new construction mini book in the Consumer Housing Trends Report. So kind of timely. And we've just been able to watch those trends grow in their favor.
So we know that people want these things. Are builders creating them? Are they using them? Or are you guys looking at these listings going, gosh, only a small number of builders are actually really engaging with these tools?
I wish that I could say more builders were adopting this technology. Zillow has this technology. You can shoot it yourself on your phone for free. Or we have a whole media service that you can purchase that gets these tools in the hands of builders as well. And it's just not getting the adoption that we'd like to see. So I feel like a broken record sometimes because I go out and I talk about all this great stuff that you can take advantage of. Please put 3D tours on your listings, put interactive floor plans on your listings. The engagement numbers skyrocket. You're really providing the customer experience that customers want.
I may be misremembering, but I believe it was you that at one point I heard a presentation. We were talking about just the difference in the number of photos that builders put on plans versus the resale listings. Do you remember that number off the top, that difference?
Know if I remember the number off the top, but I think of my own personal experience when I look at new construction online, and maybe you get a picture of a dirt lot and maybe a house is in framing stage, and that's a horrible experience. And so the sweet spot I do know is about 30 photos. Buyers want to see about 30 photos. They don't need more than that because then you're just overloading the brain, right? But 30 photos, it really can give buyers a sense of what the house looks like inside and out, top floor to basement, and it gives them a sense of what they're going to be walking into when they get to your sales center.
I don't see very many builders on their websites or on their listings that have that many photos of a given single home. I mean, Kevin, what's been your experience on photo count when you're looking around?
Yeah, I research builders, obviously selling to builders all the time. I research them all the time. And I see real common where they have a gallery page that is not specifically one plan that has X number of images. It's just a spattering of images that are just like, here's some of the beautiful things that we can create versus here's the XYZ plan and here's the 25 different photos of it. We never see that. It is very rare. It's usually 5-10 images at best.
Yeah, it's tough. And I think the lifestyle photos do a great job of kind of getting across what the community is going to feel like too. And so you can use those as part of your 30, but just make sure that you're really giving buyers a sense of something that they can't necessarily walk into.
So, Qadra, as you guys have been doing this report now for a few years, are there some key trends like from last year to this year that jumped out at you guys that you went, wow, that's interesting that changed, or we didn't expect it to change, or thank goodness it's finally changing? What are some of those insights?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that comes to mind is the demand for smart home technology in these homes, which is also a huge advantage that builders have. Is it's a lot easier to start building this stuff from the ground up than it is to retrofit an older home. So smart home technology, we've seen like a 68% jump in the demand for this technology. Now, what I hope that next year's Consumer Housing Trends Report brings out is what kind of smart home technology are people really looking for? Because we haven't gotten a chance to dig into that yet. Smart home means different things to different people. Maybe it's security, maybe it's lighting. Who knows? It could mean lots of different things, but we're going to try to dig into that to get the whole story. But definitely a trend that's just increasing significantly. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. And the other one, which is interesting, and I think this has a lot to do with just the affordability crisis that we're facing, but you've got Gen Zs and millennials that are looking to supplement parts of their monthly payments. And so when they're starting their home search, looking to see if this house has the capability to rent out part of it, maybe it's got an ADU, but is there a way that I can supplement my income to help make these payments a little bit more comfortable? So that's a trend that we've really started to see take off in the last couple of years.
So what you're saying is that the Tony Stark world, where you have a computer screen that just floats out in the middle of space that you can just move things around, that kind of smart home technology is not quite here yet?
I don't know. I just think of the Jetsons when you say that. And I just want Rosie the robot to come clean my house and do my laundry.
They already have the Roomba, which is like a self-vacuuming, self-cleaning floor cleaner. So
it's getting there, but that Roomba does not fold my laundry.
yeah, there is a lot to the Jetsons that has come true. But yes, you are absolutely correct that there are some shortcomings still to this day.
And I would invite our listeners who have no idea who the Jetsons are to Google it. Just saying, there might be a couple of you that are like, what are they talking about? Well, Qadra, just when you think about all the different things that a builder could take away from this report, if you had to boil it down to just kind of one or two key action items, okay, hey, look, you read this, we got this data, you need to be doing this, or you need to think about that. What would be those one or two kind of top action items that you would recommend?
That is a fabulous question. I think it's kind of twofold. I'm going to sound like a broken record. Take advantage of the technology that is offered to you. It will only help you. Think about the more robust sales conversations you can have if you've got self-tourable homes. You can talk to buyers after they get out of that home with much more knowledge about that buyer than you had before. If a buyer is in your sales center because you had an interactive floor plan on your listing, they already know that the floor plans that you offer are likely going to work for them. How much better is that than spinning your wheels on a buyer that won't ever end up buying because it doesn't work? So the technology is huge. Secondly, figure out a way to educate buyers on the value of new construction, whether that be the features that you offer or the incentives that you can offer that help them offset their monthly costs. Really be able to take a pen to paper or a pad to finger, whatever you're using with them, and show them what it means for their bottom line, because only then are they really going to understand how you as a builder of new construction are offering them what they can never find with resale.
So if somebody hasn't seen this report yet, where can they go and find a copy?
So if you want the big report, you can just Google Zillow 2024 Consumer Housing Trends Report. You're going to get that huge one that has buyers, sellers, renters, all the information you could ever want. For the new construction specific mini book, which is my favorite one, you can just Google Zillow New Construction Consumer Housing Trends Report. It's going to take you to a place where you can download the full report.
Well, I think that the data you guys have been providing is really helpful, really insightful. Always look forward to looking through it and trying to see, some of those trends every year. So thank you for the efforts you guys put into that. Pass that along to all the research people that do all the hard work and draw the pretty graphs and everything that go along with it. Qadra, any last thoughts or words of advice you wanted to leave with our listeners today before we finish up?
I would, but I think I'd sound like even more of a broken record. Just keep up with the trends and make sure that at the end of the day, you're doing what you do for the consumer. Then we all win because we're operating the exact same way.
Qadra, if somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch and reach out?
You can find me anywhere. LinkedIn, you can email me. I'll make sure that Greg has the email address that you can reach out to me on. You can reach out to newconir@zillow.com and that'll get right to me. Pigeon carrier, any other way that you want to get it. It's not hard.
You might be our first guest who offered carrier pigeon as an option.
And I doubt that they're even going to get there with 3 pets.
Yeah, right.
Well, thanks again, Qadra, for spending some time with us today. And thank you, everybody, for listening to the Home Builder Digital Marketing Podcast. I'm Greg Bray with Blue Tangerine.
And I'm Kevin Whites with Outhouse. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about how Blue Tangerine and Outhouse can help you generate more qualified home buyer leads, visit bluetangerine.com and outhouse.net. If you've enjoyed our show today, please tell a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to join us again on the Home Builder Digital Marketing Podcast.